Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Ordinary, aka just Ordinary. So battle royales, if you're someone who hasn't been living under a rock for the past 6 years, love them or hate them, you've probably heard of the term at least once. They've become staples in the gaming industry with games like Fortnite and Apex, where a team, or in this case, a crew, fights to be the last man standing to win it all. Now what if I told you that Oda may be preparing to write the greatest battle royale showdown in anime and manga history? As of chapter 1086, we've been getting non-stop reveals, and most importantly, appearances from characters we don't see very often, like finally witnessing Shanks use a named attack, Blackbeard chasing after the poneglyphs, and Buggy and the Cross Guild preparing to make their move for the One Piece. All the pieces needed to begin the greatest showdown in One Piece history are finally making their moves, which may ultimately be the demise of the Yonko system and Luffy finally becoming the king of pirates. If we take into account what Oda said in this year's Jump Festa, that person and that person will fight. That's the type of story you can expect. If I were to give it a descriptive title, I'd call it a battle royale. I hope no one dies. So before any sort of battle royale takes place, Oda had to find a way to get all the Yonko to simultaneously have the same goal in mind, which all starts in chapter 1054 with none other than Shanks, one of the greatest characters of all time, declared he was going for the One Piece. This left many readers confused. A lot of us believed Shanks was going to help Luffy go after the One Piece, but rather it seems Shanks has decided to go for it himself. Considering that for 1044 chapters we all thought Luffy had the Gamu Gamu no Mi, it isn't that surprising that we get a huge curveball thrown at us like this. So if Shanks is truly going after the One Piece, there is a chance that Shanks may play the role of an antagonist at some point in the series, and in my opinion that will happen in the battle royale that Oda is setting up for. However, for Shanks, he probably won't be an enemy for long. Shanks will most likely play as both friend and foe because of his relationship with Luffy. So I'm not here to push the evil Shanks agenda. Instead, he might get in Luffy's way for a bit, but not because he's evil. What that may be is up for debate, because we all know Shanks had many opportunities to ask his previous crew members about the One Piece, but he abstained from it. So there may be a deeper meaning behind his motivation. Speaking of motivation, when Shanks went and folded Kid, it only further enforced how serious Shanks was and that he wasn't playing any games. So on top of beating Captain Bum, who can't even get good animation in the anime,
oh my god, bro. Oh hell no, man. What the?
He is also on the lookout for Blackbeard and trying to anticipate his next move. So currently Shanks has his eyes on 2 of the 3 other Yonkos, which means so far he hasn't taken interest in Mihawk and his longtime friend and crewmate Buggy, arguably the most hype pirate crew ever put together, the Cross Guild. In the beginning, it was only mentioned that their goal was to hunt down Marines by slapping bounties on their heads. And we all knew that Mihawk had no interest in being the Pirate King, and that Buggy wasn't naive enough to go after the One Piece, right? The same Buggy that was scared from Vice Admirals and a couple of Marine foddership. Well, apparently that isn't who Buggy is. Buggy is a man of class and ambition, because in chapter 1082, unexpectedly, Buggy, the genius he is, revealed his true plans to become the king of pirates.
That's why he's the GOAT!
From the second I read the chapter, I knew Oda was setting something up. This one little declaration put all the pieces together. What started off as just Luffy and Blackbeard from the new generation of Yonkos chasing after the title of being the king of pirates ended up being all 4 Yonko crews chasing the same goal. So when Mihawk in chapter 1082 said, "Do you really expect us to just go pick fights with Red Hair, Blackbeard, and Straw Hat?" Mihawk may have not just been asking a rhetorical question, but actually being realistic and realizing that they have to fight the other crews in order to have a shot at getting the One Piece. Considering that the Straw Hats have 3 out of the 4 poneglyphs and that the Cross Guild have none, it only makes sense for the Cross Guild to go after the Straw Hats due to it being the most logical and simplest path to take because of how far behind the Cross Guild is compared to the other 3 Yonko crews. The Cross Guild's new objective may have also finally answered one of the most important questions in the series. What will cause Zoro's and Mihawk's paths to cross so that they can have their inevitable duel for the title of the world's strongest swordsman? Before 1082, it was mostly all speculation on what the catalyst for the meetup would be, because besides the Straw Hats and the Cross Guild both opposing the Marines, they had no other similarities and very few conflicting differences. But with this new addition, it's all beginning to add up. Oda gave us the greatest and, to be honest, the most cliche reason: to find the One Piece. So if the Cross Guild go after the Straw Hats, this will ultimately result in the long-awaited fight between Mihawk and Zoro to finally take place, rather than Zoro and Mihawk having some random ass meetup in the middle of nowhere. This leaves us with the 2 last players in all of this. The first one being the man marked by flames, who we first learned about in chapter 1056 when Kid and Killer were planning on searching for him before losing to Shanks. Not too long after, we learned that Saul survived the buster call on O'Hara that completely decimated the entire island. On top of that, Saul and a couple of giants were able to rescue the books that were thrown in the lake during the destruction of O'Hara. Everything was pointing at Saul being the man marked by flames, up until we got chapter 1081, where it became unclear of the true identity of the man marked by flames, which perfectly ties in with arguably the most important person in all of this, Blackbeard, because we find out that he's also looking for the man marked by flames. However, according to the Blackbeard pirates, he travels on a black ship that sinks other ships using whirlpools, leaving us to wonder if this person has a devil fruit or not. At first, I was on board with the whole dragon idea, but the more I thought about it, the more it really didn't make sense. Dragon is too known of a person to just be called the man marked by flames. He already has the title of the most wanted criminal. If the same black ship he uses to travel around in is the same one the man marked by flames uses, wouldn't everyone already know that? Either way, whoever this man marked by flames is essentially the key holder to the One Piece because he knows where the final poneglyph is, or at least has a copy of it. So now back to Blackbeard. Even though we already knew Blackbeard's goal is to find the One Piece, we never actually saw him go out and search for the poneglyphs. So after years of preparation and devil fruit hunting, the Blackbeard pirates are now set up to go after the road poneglyphs, which we first saw in the Germa cover page and with his encounter with Law. And listen, when it comes to Law, I really wanted to see him win it, but we all knew he didn't stand a chance. As OP as Law is, he nearly lost his life and devil fruit. Unfortunately, in a battle between devil fruits, 9 out of 10 times, Blackbeard's darkness fruit will always come out on top. So now that Blackbeard might have the ability to read the poneglyphs using Pudding's third eye, all that is left is to go after the Straw Hats and the man marked by flames. In chapter 1079, we see a Blackbeard pirate ship floating outside of Egghead Island, but for all we know, he might not be after the Straw Hat poneglyphs just yet. Rather, he may instead be after one of 3 things: Jewelry Bonnie and her devil fruit, Vegapunk, or perhaps he may go after Saturn. I know, as stupid as it may sound, let me explain. Remember when Blackbeard wanted to use Kobe as a bargaining tool against the world government so that he can join the ranks, but was quickly shut down by Aokiji because he knew that sword members held no merit? Instead, what if he took a hostage like a Gorosei member? That would be the greatest bargaining chip he can possibly have to get closer to the world government. Now that we know the Gorosei are combatants though, it may be much tougher than he thinks, but anyways, all in all, any meeting between Luffy and Blackbeard this late in the series is unlikely to end abruptly. This time around, it might actually turn into a full-blown battle where lives are on the line. Just to sort of summarize it all in one, pretty much the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard pirates are all after the man marked by flames, who in this case I'm assuming is Saul, which then forces the last 2 Yonko crews to also converge on Luffy and Blackbeard, forcing a free-for-all to take place for all 4 poneglyphs. That's all for the video. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are and whether or not you think the fight for the last poneglyph will end in a massive battle royale. Thanks for watching, peace.